The views and opinions on the Craig L. Hay Show do not necessarily reflect those of Westgate Resorts ownership or management. And now, on with the show.
This is the Craig L. Hayes Show.
All right, everybody, we are back here at the Westgate Resort Las Vegas International Showroom in Elvis Presley's former dressing room with Rick Keller, and we're going to continue talking about showbiz, his career, which he's got a 50-year career himself almost in this business, and worked with some amazing people from, Johnny Carson. You youngsters don't know who that is. Don Rickles, still don't know who that is, do you? Nope. That's how it works. Back when show business was a lot different than the video walls, moving lights, lasers, pyro, and all that stuff.
Pyro was fun. Oh my God, we could in the old days you could do it. If you wanted to.
Yeah.
You just ordered the powder, and we had pyro canisters, and they would take a screw-in fuse, and you'd cut the fuse, pour the powder in it,
Boom.
shut the door, and then you'd have a 5-foot plug on it, so they would push it out to the stage where it had to go, plug it in, and then when you shot it off, bam.
Yep.
It was good fun. You didn't need no license. After the MGM fire, that ruined a lot of stuff.
Yeah, MGM in this place back,
That's right.
3 months later, this place caught on fire.
My sister's husband caught that guy. He was a police officer at the time.
Did he really?
Yeah.
The guy that did this place, huh?
Yeah,
Wow.
Yeah. Set the room on fire upstairs, in the tower.
It's like, what were you thinking? What a moron,
Yeah. But, you were talking about doing things, and that was the thing. Early stagehands, you were around so much stuff, and we were talking in the break about how you three department heads help each other out doing things, and that you started to learn how to do different things.
Yep.
At one time, your dad brought Fred Josephs in as a headlight guy, but Fred knew how to do a lot of stuff. And the first show that he was the headlightman on was, God, I can't even think of the name of it, but we had scenery and stuff like that you could do in that little room. So we made the scenery at the hotel out of plywood. So we cut the plywood, and put the glue on it and the glitter and the lights and everything. So Fred, he knew how to do all that kind of stuff. So you learned a lot doing that. Some of the stuff I learned doing sound and run sound cables was with I think, Uncle Gordon.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was a great guy.
Knew his stuff, man.
He did, and
Your dad knew his stuff. I mean,
yeah.
Two of the probably 3 or 4 guys that I call my audio, when I did audio, because that's what I used to always do, just audio, were your dad, Uncle Gordon, Steve James, and, a couple of people other than that, here and there I'd learn a little bit from. But, yeah, those are the guys.
Yeah. And you did it right. They made you do it right, but they showed you how to do it.
Exactly.
But Gordon, yeah, he was good to work with. And he was in a position, a lot of times guys get in positions with management where they try to become bosses and stuff. But he was not like that. He was just, we're going to do this. And he explained to them, this is how you got to do it. This is what it's going to take. This is what we need. And boy, they went out and bought the stuff. And we did it. And of course, early on, and Sahara was a small place. So chief engineers, boy, they were some of the smartest guys in the whole doggone hotel. So you could get them to help you if you needed to do power here and there and stuff. And it was good stuff. I didn't go out. A lot of acts wanted me to go with them, and I did a few of them here and there, but I didn't like getting away from town. I had a family, and so I just stuck to it there and under the radar. And I think I did a good enough job to where the hotel really never messed with me. You know, they never came down on anything that we did wrong or whatever, because we would come in and do the shows, and they were happy.
Yeah.
And
As long as you guys worked all together and you didn't have
yeah,
any fights going on or problems, stuff like this,
yeah,
they forget about you. That's
But-
good and bad.
yeah.
They
But I
forget
work-
about you because you're no problem, but at the same time, it's like, we need stuff. Oh, you guys still work here? Oh,
Yeah, yeah.
So,
But your dad, when I first started working there, he was the technical director. Gordon was upstairs in convention hall. My dad, which I learned a lot about, Joe Bacorny, his partner, which I learned a ton about, how to work really,
yeah,
because they had a business where they built showroom tables and
you and I both worked there.
yeah, stage risers they built.
Yeah, all kinds of stuff, man.
Yep.
I worked for him, for your dad, for Joe, and you worked there when we were in that little shop over on Cheyenne and Civic Center.
Right. That was the old Par Gas building.
Yeah, it was just a little shop. I don't
Yeah.
think it was 30 or 40
No.
feet by 40 feet. I mean, it was
Yeah.
small when we were building all those things. And
They owned, oh, wait a second. I know which one you're talking about. Later on, they moved down the street to the Par Gas building. Yeah, the little one in that shopping center.
yeah,
Yep. We go there after school and work.
yeah, I was there for the summer.
For the
I did
weekend.
a summer because you guys had some big job that was going back to Atlantic City. Atlantic City had just reopened basically all their
Mm-hmm.
their casinos and stuff like that. So you guys had this huge order of showroom tables,
Right.
swing wing tables to put together. And,
Yeah. Because the first show would be a dinner show. So you had flaps on the side of the tables.
Yep.
Because the table needed to be wider. And then after the dinner show, they'd run all the flaps down and then add another row of tables or sometimes two
Yeah.
for cocktails. But they did the Tropicana, the big new showroom in there. They did that's where I was telling you earlier about the yellow curtain. Their main curtain was yellow. And when I first saw it, I was like, gosh, dang, who would pick that? But the light guy there told me, he goes, well, it's that way because it changes the people's eyes.
Mm-hmm.
So that,
Was that a leftover from the what was
well, somebody
that?
figured
From
it out.
that French show. I can't remember which one that was there.
This was the new Follies room,
The Follies. Okay.
brand new, yeah. And he says, well, what happens is they're sitting there and they're looking at that yellow and their eyes get attuned to that yellow color. And then when the lights go out and the lights come on, the girls are out there, topless girls, it's like they just bang. And they look so pink and beautiful because your eyes have been looking at yellow
Yep.
the whole time. And then wham. So for a couple minutes, man, it was a shock to the people how beautiful they looked on stage and how they stood out against other things. So, yeah, you learn a lot. But that was fun. I learned how to work with my dad and Joe, and that helped. And like you said, you just have to, you just find something to do.
Yep.
Years later, I ended up at the Luxor, working for your brother, Scott. And at first, I went over there when they built the first theater. They had a guy quit before it even opened because they decided they were going to fingerprint every worker in the hotel. And so Jeff Clark, yeah, I know. Jeff Clark was the head electric, and he goes, Rick, the guy just quit. You want to come over tomorrow morning? You have to be here at 6. And I was single at the time. It's like, okay, we're building the show. So I went over there, and we got to get you a hard hat and stuff. We really didn't go into theater too much. We walked down there to look at it, but it was still under construction. And we were up in what was called the Third Electric up near the convention area, and where we built all the cables. That show was laid out by Jeff Clark. The first show was Imagine. And so all the cables were built, all the data cables were built. And they had the construction company just go in and hang the lights and plug them in just to make sure everything worked. But they destroyed them all because they just grabbed the bulbs with their hands and screwed them in, put them in the sockets. The minute all them Lecos came on, they all burned out.
Yeah. Life expectancy was moments or hours and
Yeah,
done.
So we had to change all the bulbs and we had to rehang everything. They just hung them to test it all out. But I learned a lot on that, on how to do show changes and what it takes. And when we got to the Sahara, they built the theater. It was kind of funny. They had a theater group that had only built some church stuff.
Is this when Bennett bought the place?
Yeah, Bennett bought it. He was a good guy.
Yeah.
Bennett was a real good guy. He was a union man, Matter of fact, he bought trucks because the Stardust, the culinary was out on strike, and he bought food trucks that go over there and feed the workers walking on the picket line. So he was a good guy. We still had we were in the old showroom with the old equipment, and we were going to go upstairs to the back part of the Space Center, which he was turning into a buffet, and put the showroom up there. We were doing at the time coasters, drifters, platters. So we were supposed to go up there for 3 months, come back down to the new theater. So they couldn't, my boss at the time, I couldn't even remember who he was. He was afraid to go up and tell the president. There was only the president and then Bill Bennett that, hey, we got to buy equipment. We can't take this stuff up there. And so he didn't do it. So, and I figured out. So what I did is I went to all the lighting people, companies in town. What's it cost to buy this stuff? This is when moving lights were coming along.
Yeah.
Cyber lights were the big light to get. Anything high end was good quality stuff. And dimmers we needed, just everything. And all that old stuff, all Bakelite stuff, and all asbestos wiring. It's like, we're not going to take this out of here. This was put in 1969.
Yeah, and on top of that, once you take it out, it's gone. You have to throw it away.
Yeah.
It's not go move it somewhere else. It's once it gets from its position up there, you have to take, by law, you have to take all the asbestos connectors, everything.
Oh, I still had, from the day I walked away, Fresnels that had asbestos wiring in them. But they were so charred, I figured it was okay.
Yeah, the asbestos will protect
They were
them.
bought in the 40s.
Yeah,
They still worked, man.
they're
You had-
probably bought from my grandpa's store.
Probably,
State Sound
probably.
Equipment. So.
Yeah, yeah. So I finally decided I'm going up there because I'd worked in that hotel so long, I'm not going to get the shaft here that they didn't know. So I go up there, and the secretary kind of runs, just like most hotels, secretary runs things, really. They know everything, blah, blah, blah. So I get up there, and what are you doing here this early? It's like, oh, well, I need to present this to them because we're going to go upstairs in 2 months, and we don't have the equipment to go up there and do it. No way to turn these lights on, no cables like this. Well, a lot of the stuff in the old conga room was twist lock from the 60s. And if you know anything about twist locks, they change them just to make more money. Now you got to,
buy more twist lock.
yeah, you got to buy this type now because this is the approved twist lock.
Yeah.
So anyway, I go up there and they take me in. I show the president guy who I knew. And I said, this is what we got to do. We either got to buy stuff or we got to rent stuff. So I went to all these companies. This is what it's going to take to do the show we're doing. And we'll get by with that. And then whatever you're going to buy for the big new theater, that's going to be. But if I told them, if you do this now I have the opportunity because I've not really had memory computer boards. Everything has been manual. So, and we've had no moving lights. Now I've gotten shows where I had moving lights, so I know enough about them. But this gives me 3 months to get good enough to where we can do what it's going to take in the theater. Because they kind of had some basic ideals what the theater was going to be like. And it was all jacked up big. They didn't even have a light booth in there. So it was funny stuff. So we go down and anyway, I ended up going in with Bennett, and he was a nice man. He showed me his shotgun under the table. He had a little 2-foot shotgun.
Sawed off shotgun.
Yeah, the old days, yeah, old mob guys. But he was a good man, and I made the presentation. This is, we either rent it, that's up to you guys, or we buy the stuff. And he said, well, what would you like? I said, I'd like to buy it because, and then I told him too, I could start learning this. This is 20 years advanced. And so the next day, they came back and said, okay, we're going to buy it. And I mean, it was like Christmas. And they called Cinema Services, and at the time, I think it was Cinema Services still at the time, 99. I said, how much for cash? Right. It was like $170,000 worth of crap. And they said, how much for cash? Well, that'd be like $120. Okay, we're sending a check over. So I got the top board at the time, which was a Sabre board. And
Who made that?
Compulite, they were in,
Compulite.
Compulite was in Israel.
Okay.
And the first ones to get them were Luxor, got 2 for their theater, and that's how I knew about them. And Riviera ended up with 1. A bunch of people got them, but they were overtaken a few years later by the grandma boards and stuff like that. And the only problem with that it was a fantastic board because it was really made for cyberlights. So, and that's what you could buy at the time. You couldn't buy Vari-Lights. You couldn't, all these things were rental only. So it was fantastic. I had fun. I just had so much fun with that board. Yeah, but it was like a typewriter. You couldn't bang on it. You couldn't misuse it. And, but that's jumping all the fun acts and all the good people. And like you said, people just knew how to do things.
Yeah.
And how to, and so you learned it. Like I'm building an old car right now, and I've taken all the tape off all the wiring, and I'm tying it like you used to do in the old days where they tied the wires. The sound guys would tie all the wires in the back of the racks. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I'm doing that. Looks cool. It's like an airplane. But so many people with so much talent, and if they'd come to you, hey, we need an elevator. It's like, what? Okay. At the Sahara, we needed a tunnel for an act in the old conga room. And we had a,
For Steve Wyrick?
no, it wasn't Steve Warwick. That was the theater.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I made so much money with that, and it wasn't our fault. They didn't order anything for that theater, and we started off in there with that show with 48 Cyberlights. I think I had 34 studio colors. I had like maybe 32 modified track spots for fiber optics. Just gods and gods of lighting, but no cable.
Huh.
So I go to the hotel and I go, we need to order cable and plugs. Okay, well, how much do you need? I need 15,000 yards of stuff. I think it was 15,000 feet. And they were like, wow. And I go, well, there's no cable. The room came with 10 100-foot sockos and 10 100-foot data lines
Wow.
and maybe 12 twofers and a handful of Lecos and I think we had 80 what you would call like a Farsight unit, but they were really TV lights, and that was it. And so it's like, no, here's the drawings. And we didn't have electric pipes. It was just solid pipes, so we had to build those because you could go and hang like 10. We had to show the hotel, so we hung 10 Cyberlights. They're like 94 pounds apiece on a pipe, and they made that pipe swing around and everything. It's like, no. So we had a company build us truss pipe and put them in, and we hung the lights, and they came in and welded, and we took 2 arbors for each light, and I think I had 4 lighting pipes basically, but they were really double pipes, each one of them.
Yeah.
Full, the arbor's full too, because those were heavy lights, and but it was just fun. God, moving lights were just so fun. You could do anything with them at the time.
And that's his show was a very much needed cyber, moving lights and stuff like that. It
and
was
he had a light guy, and the light guy had done a bunch of stuff, but he didn't understand how to light girls or anything like that. And there was scenery, and he was just blowing it. And finally, and he tried to blame it on me. He couldn't figure out how to get the fiber optic stuff to work. And what it turned out to be, I kind of figured it out, was that you would download a imprint of what the light was, what its attributes were. And so these were modified track spots, so they didn't have pan or tilt, so there'd be 4 channels there for pan and tilt, fine and hard, and then some other things. And so he was using that track spot thing, and the lights would just go crazy because they weren't 12 channels long or 14 channels long. They were really only 7. And so that he couldn't get them to work, and he was blaming it on me. Well, it's like, okay, you're going to blame me, so I figured out how to get them to work. And so I put my disc in, and I'd get them to work. And the hotel, man, they brought the bosses down and everything. It's like, here's a red. And the psych was gorgeous. It was a 40-foot tall by 60-foot wide fiber optic curtain. I mean, it was beautiful. You know, you had twinkle and you had colors and all the fun stuff. And the front main was even bigger. And it was fiber optic. So here, look, I can make this red, blue, green, twinkle, blah, 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 and all this stuff. And then as soon as okay, he's got it. You know, man, I pulled my disc out, put his back in. And he threw a fit. But this was like, he threw a fit on a Monday, and the hotel stepped in. They'd already understood it. I had a very good head carpenter in those days, Mike McDonald.
Oh, okay, Mike.
Mike
Okay.
McDonald. Mike McDonald was a little bulldog, man. And you ran everything through him. That was the best way to do things. So the hotel needed something. They go through Mike. Mike, okay. It kept everybody out of trouble if everything was funneled through the head carpenter, like probably here, like it should be. You know, you don't need the head electric going to the hotel about other than orders for stuff, you know, or setting up his own meetings for, you know, go through the head carpenter. That's really the boss.
Yeah, well, a lot of the guys, you know, they talking with, you know, technical director, stuff like that. It's like, if you guys need to tell him stuff, tell him. Don't sit there and think you're not allowed to talk to anybody. Just tell him what you need. You know, if you need a bulb order or something like that, tell them you need a bulb order. You know, But we would get together and have powwows on, you know,
Well, yeah, you had to,
pre-production show, all that stuff. We'd all do it together, and you know, but that's just how that works, you know.
yeah.
But when you have three guys, it's like you're with each other all the time anyway. And that's all we did. And
Well, they ran that light guy out on a Monday, and the show was supposed to open Thursday, and nothing was done other than the hang. And so I stayed there from that Monday morning till Thursday night. I think we only did one show the first night. And just kept eating and programming and eating and programming. And I'd maybe lay down for 2 hours and stuff. Never left the hotel for like 4 days. And I got called on the carpet by payroll. It's like, hey, you punched in. And I'd been in that hotel, you know, 25 years by then. You punched in on Monday morning, and then you punched out Thursday night.
yeah,
Yep.
and
Yeah. Well, you can't do that. I go, well, I did it. You know, and so you worked the whole time? That's illegal. I go, well,
it's not illegal to work that much. It's insane to work that much, but it's not illegal.
I
'Cause
could hardly see when I walked out of there.
We've all done it, and you know, lived at the hotel. And
Yeah.
this room right here that we're in, at one time, we had housekeeping bring down a bunch of twin beds. You know, the rolling twin beds. This room had a whole bunch of them in it because we got to the point. You know, the guys were so damn tired.
Yeah.
It's like, guys, go down to the room, you know, crash out on one of the beds, grab a pillow, just crash, grab, you know, a couple, 3, 4 hours, whatever. And when you wake up, get your butts back up here so someone else can go down there. you know.
Yeah.
And we did that for, you know, several days.
Well, you
Just-
had to because there was so much stuff. And, but we didn't do a lot of big show change stuff so much. That one took 3 months, and we made a ton of money because the theater was so jacked up with stupid stuff.
Yeah.
Just silly stuff that these people, you know, didn't know how to do.
Yeah. Yeah, the never-ending show change.
Yeah. But I ended up doing a lot of extra jobs, which was great. I worked at the Luxor a lot. Worked with your brother over there a lot as stagehands, and then when he was technical director over there. And I worked the Tropicana. I went over there, they were redoing the Follies, and I could do fiberglassing, so I went over there to help with that and stayed on. They were putting in a day show, Rick Thomas. And so I ended up being an assistant prop guy, a relief guy. So assistant prop, assistant flyman, which was so fun. A rail is so fun.
Yep. They can be. I've done it so much over the years. I find it kind of just a busy fly rail is fun.
Yeah.
But when you've only got like 4 pools, 5 pools the whole night, it's like,
Well, we were, here's the thing, on that little show, we had more than that. We had probably 12 12 or more pool, 15. But we also shot pyro. So you had to deal with that. And then you would help the prop people. Because the magic stuff, the girl would carry the magic parts off. And some of that stuff's very expensive, So you'd have to put that in its case. So you kept busy. And it was a lot of fun. And then I ran Spotlight and the board one day when something happened, they couldn't make it. So that was quite a thrill, not really knowing nothing about it.
Who was the head electric at that time? Do you remember who it was?
Well, I don't know who the main head electric was at night for the Folly show, but this was a day show, and I think that was Lance. Michelle was, or it might have been Lance might have been on vacation, and then the other guy didn't make it, and so I had to run the board for a show. But I knew the show, and you had a cue sheet, but the moving lights were run off a laptop. So they were all telebeams and stuff. But so worked there, worked Flamingo, Spotlight, Devon Michelle, who's a great guy.
Yep.
Yeah, he's probably got more stories than anybody.
I just got to get him to come over here. I've talked to him a couple of times. Well, I'm busy. I'm like,
He's very busy. But
I go, dude, you on a day off, a Monday or something, just come over here for a couple hours and let's get. I need you, and I need I need Ron Michelle. I've sent Ron messages. And
Ron's
trying to get
getting
these
real
guys.
old. Yeah.
And he's 85 like my dad and stuff. But it's like, these are the guys I need to get because we're going to lose their stories.
Yeah, they were all.
And that's the problem. We're going to lose their stories, and I don't want to lose these stories on these guys.
Yeah, Devon, he's been a fantastic guy to be around. I didn't really get to work so much on his cruise at the Circus Maxis, but I got over there for show changes, and then when he did the Coliseum, I went in there and did that whole install for the Coliseum. But I didn't stay because, and I could have stayed, and they made more money. Celine, they made gigantic money.
Yeah.
And they didn't hold them to the hourly thing. They were paid hours, but they didn't hold them to the times. If there was something that had to be done, they'd come in and do it. But otherwise, you just come in and did the shows. And
See, that's when the hourly works out real well too. That's unfortunately this place. It's clock in and clock out. So
yeah,
it's
there was a different deal in there.
when somebody else's payroll, because it wasn't Pat Bash's company, payroll and Celine or something.
It could have been, yeah.
So there was no time clocks to punch in out. So you didn't have to worry about it. You just
Nobody cared.
make the show happen. Don't let anything go by the wayside. Come on, guys. And then just be here when you need to be here. But make sure the show goes off.
Yeah, and that was gigantic. That show, gigantic.
Yeah.
And it made more money. That was probably the top show there was ever in this town. I think they put 1,000 people in that show every night, and they said it was some god-awful number, like an extra $2 million in the casino was made every night she played.
Yeah. Well, I know that room was built for 4,000 people.
Okay, so it was more than that. Yeah, so
You
she's
get
putting
4,000
So she was putting that many in there, yeah.
every night, and then those people would walk through the casino, and you think about it. Well, that's a lot. 2 million. And you go, well, if everybody drops, $100,
Yeah,
there's 400,000 just right there.
yeah. You're right. It was about 4,000 people.
And the people that go to see Celine, they're not,
It took a little.
nickel and quarter slot players.
It took a little balls to get out on their balconies where the lights were. Sometimes you had to crawl over the railing and get down in there. And they had great equipment, brand new, great, beautiful equipment.
That was back when they actually put some serious dough into it, and that was when it was part of the Bally's, Hilton. They all got together and they put this big conglomerate together, and it is what it is. Well, that's the episode. We're going to call that for that episode, and we'll talk about a couple of things, and very likely we're going to come back and do another one because we got plenty to talk about. Seems like so. So until then, Talbot, take it away.
This is the Craig L. Hayes Show.
Yeah, Talbot. was my partner, that's his voice on there, so.
Is it?
Yeah.
I gotta stand up for a minute.
Yeah.